Hey everyone, this is Tammy. I'm just doing a quick project update. This is the the Caron Big Cake Carry-All One Skein Wonder bag that I'm working on, and I wanted to show you some details now before I make up the other video to show the completion. Okay. All right. When I started, the project started with this gray here, transitioned into the black section, and then into that same gray, and so forth. Okay. Now when the skein concluded, I was right about in here, and I did not, and the next skein had all of this black, this entire black center, and I did not want to repeat what happened back here with all that black. Okay, and it's a lot of black. It's like a good 5, maybe 6 inches of that black. Okay, and I didn't want to repeat that on the end when I started the second skein. So I did get it measured. It's 10 inches wide, so I needed 30 inches. Okay, ratio 3:1. All right. Okay. Well, right here where this stitch marker is how far I overshot my 30 inches. But that's okay. It's not a big deal, but it's okay. It just means I need to frog back all of this to this stitch marker right here. That way I know where my 30 inches is. Okay? But like I said, I didn't want this black section to repeat itself to where I had 2 large black blocks on the end with all the coloration in the center. I didn't want to do that. Okay? So I went ahead and took the center out, quite a bit of it, only to find, you know, I was going to crochet, but I didn't need to crochet quite as far as I needed to. I should have measured it before I did that, but I didn't. So I've got all of this to go ahead and frog back to this stitch marker, tie it off, and then I start the assembly for the bag. Okay? And I will show what the bag looks like in the next video. Alright? I'll talk to you then. Have fun, everybody. Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Beaded Windsocks. When I'm not beading, I'm crocheting. When I'm not crocheting, I'm beading. Today is podcast number 5. It is Wednesday, and it is coming up on lunch. Yes, it is. I have 3 finished objects, 4 works in progress, some yarn, and 1 shout out. Okay, because I've misplaced my list of shout outs that I had. I apologize for that. When I find it, I'll make another video of the additional shout outs that I missed. Okay. My first finished object, as you could tell from the beginning, was the Caron Big Cake Carry-All bag, One Skein Wonder, by Ashlea. I'm not going to try and pronounce the last name. By Heart Hook Home. It is free on her blog, and there was an interesting little thing with my project when I did it up. Okay, she used a Caron Big Cake, and she used, I believe, an H hook, and her demonstration project came out with the 40 stitches. Her project came out 13 inches wide, base start. Okay, I chose to use Mandala Ombre in the colorway Cool. Okay, and Ashlea recommended 600 yards for this particular project, and the Mandala ombre has 344. Okay. When I did up my bag, I found that I had quite a bit of my original second cake left over. Okay. Ooh. Sorry about that. This is my entire cake, and from the video at the beginning, there's the explanation for all of this yarn was there. Okay, and there's that center. All right. I did not need very much of this second skein. I was actually surprised when I did up mine it with this yarn. My baseline start was actually only 10 inches wide, not 13. So my 3-to-1 ratio ended up 10 inches by 30 inches. Okay, and I keep this unruly mess until I can get it recaked in my cake keeper, so it doesn't make a bigger mess and get all over the place. Here's the completed bag. Very nice bag. I actually like it. Okay. I noticed that after I got done stitching it together that my V's, they don't match up. I was off slightly when I stitched them up. So, but you know what? I like it anyway. I like it anyway, especially the color. It actually came out pretty nice. Okay, and the other thing is that she made a 12-inch strap for hers. Excuse me. I went with the 10-inch strap, the same width as the bag or the panel when I started. So I went with the 10-inch strap for a smaller handle. And I figured that at some point it's going to stretch anyway because of the ombre yarns. There's the Mandala ombre has a little bit of stretch in it to begin with. So that's why I only did a 10-inch strap. Okay. And one friend on one of our Zoom chats says that it's very retro. So thank you for that. All right. So I'm glad that that video in the beginning helped explain the bag a little bit and why I've got so much yarn that I need to redo. But like I said, into my second cake, apparently I did not need that much more because my bag width was actually smaller than Ashlea's was. Okay? All right. Next is Sarah Sach's convertible headscarf. Okay, and I made two, one according to the video because I followed her along, and it's in the colorway Nova, Mandala Sparkle in the colorway Nova. Okay, it's nice. I like it. And this one is 43 inches. Okay. And a small little tip when you go ahead and make this one, okay, is that put at the 5th row, put a stitch marker in on the middle bar, and that will mark your 5th row so that when you're counting up to 72, you don't have to try to find row 5. You've marked it, and then you can just count up to 72. According to Sarah's pattern, okay, it's 72 rows before you do the other before you do the decreases on the other side to make the other point. Okay, all right. So this one is for little one, and she's happy with that. The other one I made, it's 53 inches long. Sorry, I haven't woven in my end yet. And I made it out of Draco, same yarn, Mandala Sparkle, out of Draco with those purples. And then there's a fuchsia on one end and blue on the other. Okay? And I made mine longer because I wanted more drape for me personally. Okay? And she says that you can make this as long or as short as you want. Well, there it is. Okay? And it's a nice little mindless project for when you need to. Okay? For those times when you need something mindless. It's a nice little mindless project. All right? Works in progress. The first one is Say Bella. Excuse me for a moment. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Is Say Bella. I am doing this in Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in Jazzy. Okay. I started this Friday night. No, Saturday night. I started this Saturday night. And this is how far I am. Okay. And I like how the color is working up because it was nice that it started out with that light color and it's progressing into the darker ones. I like it. Okay. I did have a question about the pattern because I wasn't sure I was getting it correct. Because in row 5, you have your end row stitch, your single cluster, your double cluster, your single cluster, your double cluster. And the thing is that it came out balanced, even, okay? And when I did row 8 and 11, and they did not come out the same as row 5 did, I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. So I went looking for Brenda at Pugaful Life because she's also working on it, and reviewed her video, and the one thing she points out very specifically is, okay, your double cluster increase stitches, okay, these are the increase stitches that take place in every third row, do not line up with any of the previous ones. It's designed that way so that the increased stitches are actually spread out so that it stays in its half circular format. So I thank you, Brenda, for that information. I was looking for that because I wanted to keep going and I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So thank you for that. Okay. And one thing that Brenda is doing is that she's putting stitch markers where her increases are at so that she knows where they're at. And that's understandable because for each increase row, you're actually increasing your single cluster by 1. So you start out in row 5 with 1. In row 8 you have 2. The same concept of building a basic circle, okay, is how this is done. But that's why the increased stitches are not lined up. Okay, so thank you, Brenda, for that little tip in there regarding this. Okay, sorry I don't have any project bags to put these in. They're kind of all scattered around right now. Okay, next up is the Cakes 2 to Tango, and this is my progress keeper. Okay, and it's upside down. Okay, this is my progress keeper. This is how much I've done since Thursday, because I was having issues with the peaks, the corners, of making sure that my single crochet stitch was going into the chain one space in the peaks or the corners. Okay, so to save me from making sure that I was doing it right and not messing it up, I put stitch markers in the corners so I know where that chain one space is, because that chain one space has a tendency to run away and hide in those corners. So I wanted to make sure that the stitches are going in the right spot. So as a tip for anyone who's making this and feels that those little chain one spaces in those corners do have a tendency to hide, put a stitch marker in there and you'll know exactly where that chain one space is. And that should help, okay? This one is using Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in True Blue and Sea Coral. And I think it's coming out nice, the way the blues and the orange are going together like they should. Okay, hope to work on this one some more this weekend. Like I said, no project bags. It would help. Okay, number 3 is this one right here. Back in November, I got an acquisition of a bag of yarn. 7 cakes of Mandala in Warlock. And 6 in Serpent. Doesn't want to focus. Anyway. Oh, and that's that one right there. Okay. A year ago, a little more than a year ago, I lost my cat Shadow, and I was seeing that some other people had lost their pets, and they were talking about Rainbow Bridge, and I realized that I had a cake of Mandala in Gnome, which is the rainbow one, and I started making a scarf. And while working on it, I took it over to the center where I have lunch at on Tuesdays, and a friend of mine saw me working on it and asked me if I could make some other scarves and all, and I told her, yeah, absolutely. I just don't know what yarn you want to make them with. And she says, no, I'll take care of that. So she brings me this bag of yarn and asks me to make up these scarves out of this yarn and all that she gave me. Okay. In December, I went back to the website. It's the Meandering paw print pattern scarf. There's a large scarf, there's a skinny scarf, there's a small shawl, there's a large shawl, there's a hat, cup cozy, there are 4 sizes of dog bandanas, and then there is a hat, a beanie and all, okay? And when I saw the pattern for the shawl, I went, oh yeah, gotta make that in both those colors. Okay. The pattern is by Amy B. Stitched at A Stitch at a Time, and she'll have all the patterns for anything related to the paw print all in one place. Okay. I tried to follow this pattern off the blog, okay? And as you can see where the stitch marker is over here, that's where I stopped back in December, because I was having trouble trying to read the pattern on the blog because the rows kind of stacked together. They weren't spaced apart. I went back and found that the pattern is now downloadable. It's a free PDF, And when I downloaded the PDF, I found that the rows were broken up with spaces in between them. So now, since Thursday night, when I resumed this, this is how far I've actually gotten. I went from row 9 to row 21. Okay, so that's what I'm working on there. And this one in Warlock will be the large shawl because it requires 2 cakes. And when I make the small one, it will take only 1 cake of the serpent. Okay, and this shawl also, if you didn't notice, from other shawls work from the top down, so from the neck to the point. This one works in reverse. It works from the point to the neck. Okay, so that's a piece of information regarding this one, is that it does work in reverse. Okay, and I'm enjoying that pattern. I just need to get going on it because it takes focusing. It's not a mindless project. So when I work on this one, I do it when little one is in school or she's gone to bed. So I end up working on it for a couple hours at night. Okay. All right. The next one is my pattern, my creation here. And another cake keeper for this yarn that's starting to do its thing. Okay. This is Woolly's Cake. And it is in the colorway Hades. There's the color bands, color scheme, all those blues and purples. That's where I'm at. Okay. Put it back in the cake keeper to keep it from running, falling apart and running away. Okay. This is my creation, my design. And I've noticed that as I'm working on it, excuse me, it's coming out in more of a V shape or a dip in the center instead. Okay. And I also noticed that it's appearing a little bit of a mesh on the side here, but that will come out when I wash it. Once I wash it, the fibers relax. The fibers will relax and it'll spread open. Okay. And I don't have a name for this yet, but I am thinking of one. So when it's completed, I'll post an update picture with the project. The one thing I will do is take a before and after when it's washed. I will take a before picture to see how it looks before it's washed, and an after picture so that we can see how the fibers relaxed out from looking like it's mesh when it's not. Okay. And if anyone's interested in the pattern, please leave me a comment below. Okay. And in the next and when it's completed, I'll post the link for the pattern then. All right. Okay. A couple weeks ago, I went yarn shopping. Didn't find a lot that I was interested in at the time. But with the new yarn that Lion Brand came out with, I found that there were only 2 left on the shelf, in the box. 2 left of the Mandala Ombre in pure. Okay, so I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet, but as luck would have it, the center on this one matches up to the outer band on this one. So if I make something that's going to be continuous, it'll tie together. Okay. I've also been experimenting with making eyes out of crochet thread instead of yarn, because trying to make those small circles with only 4 single crochets can be a little tough for me and all. So I picked up this package of crochet thread in size 10, and a few weeks before that I picked up 2 in black because they were smaller, and they had them clearance 50 cents each, so you know. And I found that I can make eyes better with the crochet thread than I can with the yarn. And I'm going to be doing some experimentation and playing and see how they come out. And when I do, I will go ahead and post a video on them so that you can see how they worked up and how they, you know, it's what we do as crafters. We experiment. That's the fun part. We experiment. Okay. In the way of yarn and stuff, that's it. I do have a shout out for one person. Her name is Sara of Curious Cuttlefish. Hello, Sara. She's also a newbie and a sweet girl. She's working on some shawls. The blanket she has on her couch is the chevron blanket. It's gorgeous. I like it and all. And then to one of the many Shelleys in my life, and you're going to know which one you are. The yarn that you gave me, I have found a purpose for it. It is going to be turned into a campfire cardigan by Jess Copham of Make and Do Crew. Sorry, I had an itch. That is what I am going to do with that yarn, is turn it into a campfire cardigan for me. My little one picked out a yarn that she likes, and I cannot find the colorway around here anymore. And the colorway that she picked, or the yarn she picked, is Red Heart Super Saver in Grape Fizz. Like I said, I cannot find the yarn around me in my local Walmart or anywhere. So my hopes was to make her a campfire cardigan using her favorite color also. But if that's, since I can't seem to find the color, what I may do is just have her pick out to something else and go from there. In addition to that, that is all there is. And I hope everyone had a good Mother's Day and have a pleasant upcoming Memorial Day weekend in 10 days. So if anyone is watching and all, you know, have fun. On a final note, as always, we in the crochet world need each other at times, so we need to all be kind to one another. Okay, so be sweet, be kind, and I'll talk with all of you again next time. And don't forget, the video at the beginning explained my bag and why I did the change to it that I did. Not in the way of the pattern itself, but in the way of the color scheme. Okay? Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.